Fnatic. But right now, I think they have a lot more than that. The one thing for me that stands out a bit is that if you look at how the tournament went for Zealots so far, they dropped the maps against Tempo Storm, but Tempo Storm is also the team that looks by far the best from North America. So I'm not quite sure how strong Zealots is. They look stronger and stronger in every single game, and when they played against Tempo Storm, Mobster just came off the stage and immediately told me I didn't expect them to be that strong. I underestimated them. And that might just where they had to recognize, okay, they're stronger than expected, we need to adjust a little bit. But ever since then, they've done it really, really well and haven't lost the map.
I think that's kind of the difference between Team 12 and Tempo Storm, is that Tempo Storm has a defined meta that they like to play within that, and they play with what they know. In Team 12, it seems like they always sometimes just, you know, the Abathur composition that they played on Cursed Hollow made sense because you can kind of throw something off. But then you start to like dive a little bit deeper, and I feel like they kind of outthought themselves and outdrafted themselves.
Talking about drafting, we have Tomb of the Spider Queen for the first time, and this is a really interesting map because there's a few things that the Zealots have been trying to show for a while now. And this is one of the maps where we could see it. So I'm not quite sure if it happens, we're going to talk about it, but I'm already curious to see if we maybe get some of those fancy drafts that AD already has prepared, or if after the first map they're just simply saying, you know what? We don't even need any special drafts.
Even if we don't get the top shelf special drafts, there's still heroes in this battleground that are strong in Europe that we've seen a lot. There's a Chromie floating around.
ADRD's drafts.
He reaches all the way to the top.
Whiskey. They're like good whiskey.
It's been sitting there for a couple of years. It's nice. It's good to go.
We're not going for the top shelf today. We're in the mid.
Let's stay in the mid-tier area. Yeah, there are heroes that have been pretty strong on this battleground that we've seen in the past. I mean, we've had the Chromies come out a lot for a lot of our teams, so Zealots have options to move into it. Let's see what Team 12 has as an answer. They do have the first pick, and they have mentioned they have niche picks coming their way, but there's always still the strength of Blaze, and there he is.
I can only hope that we're going down the Cho'Gall route or something like that. I mean, Tomb of the Spider Queen kind of opens the door for some things. If you're going to get weird, that's one way to definitely get pretty weird.
Cho'Gall banned against them since they were clearly lean, at least like baiting that ban, if not trying to go for Cho'Gall. I mean, banning out a Nubarak at the same time and also going straight for Leoric ban. It was more or less signaling, listen, there's at least a chance that we're going to go for it.
I love casting with like North American casters and players as well, because now we have J-How, we had Udall yesterday. Anytime ADRD is on the other side, like Cho'Gall, it's going to happen. It's coming out. And I was in that trap for a couple weeks, man. I'm hoping that it happens, but ADRD doesn't always deliver.
Yeah, but that's the reputation you can play around, and that's the beauty of it.
That's true.
You know who's a good Cho'Gall counter?
Who?
Leoric.
True.
You know who was just picked up in the first rotation?
Leoric.
Hey, how about that?
That is a higher Leoric pick. For maybe Zarmany, probably Zarmany.
It's a really high Leoric pick.
It is a high Leoric pick.
We talked about how Leoric is currently doing well, and he sits at a 5-win and 1-loss ratio at the Western Clash. But him being picked this early, that's definitely new.
Team 12, thinking about what could Zealots move into. You know it's on their mind right now. There's like, wait a minute, Leo getting picked up, what options could it be?
I mean, there's a few things to consider here for potential picks right immediately, because we're talking Genji oftentimes on Tomb of the Spider Queen. As we said before, he doesn't really have a good win ratio at the Western Clash. He's been struggling in Europe a bit as well, but he still excels at getting these quick rotations done between lanes. And on Tomb of the Spider Queen, he can really use that to put pressure on the offlane and try to get some ganks going. So he's still an option for them here.
Is there any possibility for Zealots to run Medivh this game? Because it's Tomb of the Spider Queen, generally not Abathur, which is why we don't see the ban there from Team 12, and of course Malfurion is strong. Tassadar, not really something that you would see from Leoric, or with Leoric and Gul'dan, although still maybe because he does offer wave clear, and wave clear is very important on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Is it a possible Medivh?
I mean, it's ADRD, it's always a possibility, right? Like, it's something that he's willing to pull out on any battleground. I mean, if you just look at Medivh in his base kit, he's fine on this battleground. You're kind of missing out on the wave clear, but you got decent poke and you got visions on your opponents. So turning in for the web weavers is certainly a tool. So these are things that Team 12 have to consider. Could it be the Medivh? Could it be the Cho'Gall? This Ragnaros ban, though, is getting me a little antsy. With that being banned out, it feels like they want to end the game pretty early. And automatically when I see a Rag ban, my first thought is, Sylvanas?
Look at this face. Look at this face right now.
You don't have to say anything.
It's
we'll go ahead
more and more.
Look at this here.
The whole thing about Team 12 is that historically, they've moved Cure over to the Tyrael in a handful of games. And so I think Zealots has definitely done their homework against this team. They understand that they could potentially be running that triple melee. They could also be denying something else as well. As Kaldor he was so excited a minute ago
I'm still excited. I just want to see what happens next. I mean, again, they spoiled a few things, but I still don't know if it's going to happen, what's going to happen. I'm still as excited as you guys are because Zealots, as we said before, have so much stuff that they can pull with ADRD.
Here's the thing with ADRD too, though, is like we have this like excitement of something could be coming, and then it winds up being a normal draft.
Yeah,
And it tilts the hell out.
that's the problem. If you expect him with like one of these top shelf drafts, he doesn't deliver. But the second you say, okay, they're always playing standard, all of a sudden he throws a curveball. It's why teams hate to draft against him.
Johanna banned. Wave clear seems to be the focus for Team 12, trying to prevent any major heroes that are good into the Spider Queen.
That's also a good ban against Mopsio because Mopsio loves to play Johanna. He really enjoys playing the hero, and we have seen a lot of Johanna on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Over the entire duration of 2018's games in Europe, she has struggled a lot, but she's still reliably picked on Tomb of the Spider Queen and also on Infernal Shrines for the European teams. So that just shows Team 12, they've done their homework. They know that Mopsio loves the hero, that the European teams play it, and on this map she's strong. So I like the ban a lot on that one.
Well, unless it is a solo hero that is prepped, this is likely to be where we see where that strategy starts, if there is any strategy for Zealots in these next two picks.
I feel like I'm just as eager as everybody else watching, right? I mean, Zealots, it could be normal, it could be weird.
If they go for something crazy, I actually expect it on the last pick.
Yeah,
If
okay.
that happens. So, but
Right.
for now, they still need a tank. Now that their Johanna has just been banned out. Tim has been talking a bit about how often has we seen Muradin, but we have Garrosh instead and a Stukov. So immediately the potential of the silence again. Shat loves that hero. And let's face it, Garrosh has really delivered as the Western Clash so far.
Yeah, he delivers someone right into your team.
Yeah, he's 3-0.
Garrosh Stukov picked against Team 12 too, as Team 12 last year won a lot of games versus a whole lot of NA teams with that very combo on this map.
I have a solve to the riddle, but I don't think it's the answer. We'll talk about it when we go to the fifth pick.
Butcher.
Butcher, agree. 140%, that's what we're going with. I'm actually looking at this, and I'm wanting Zul as a fifth pick, if that sounds weird or not. A Bone Prison onto a Genji, pretty locked down, you get the silence afterwards. You have the control like crazy, you got wave clear, just push off the map and try to win early. But we'll wait here. Team 12 with their fourth and fifth pick up, trying to see what they're gonna get.
I can tell you one thing already, and that's that Mopsio is probably a bit unhappy about Johanna being banned out against him, but he's going to be very happy about Garrosh. He loves playing the hero, and he actually said that he finally convinced ADRD to pick Garrosh for him, and it showed in the games that he played yesterday. It was insane how much value he got and how survivable he was there.
And one of the things, they had a hard time finishing those kills against Mopsio. Jaina adds that burst damage that Garrosh is susceptible to. That's the #1 killer for Garrosh. He survives in sustained situations. Genji and Jaina have a composition that you can really nail that down, but it's got to be set up by Blaze. The good thing is that you can get the initial slow and then kind of compound that with Jaina on there. Now we've got our last pick for Zealots.
It's ADRD's pick, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
And it could be something insanely boring. And there it is. Yes, Abathur. Okay.
Abathur on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Are we getting double Garrosh again?
Well, that's definitely a possibility, but yeah. So Abathur usually not picked on the map, but they said that this is something where, where they believe they can beat nearly anybody. So they practice with Abathur here, and we're gonna see some pretty interesting team fights for sure. And we have seen already the survivability that he has with Garrosh alone. Now you put an Abathur head on top of that, and you also add Soma Transference on level 13, and all of a sudden you have a monster you just can't kill.
ADRD, we highlighted a little bit in the game yesterday when Abathur, he does that full, like, what if I just put a bunch of nests down in a bush and dare you to path through it? It got a kill at the end of the game yesterday on Towers of Doom.
Genji, yeah, exactly.
I feel like on this one, maybe Mind Build complements this for the rotations as well as just being annoying, right? I don't know if we'd go down that route, but I would not be upset if we did.
But there's another thing to consider. Abathur in Europe is banned out nearly every single game. And the only map where nobody even thinks about banning Abathur is Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Right.
That's also why we see the pick coming in this late, because they're saying, like, who bans Abathur here? So, yeah, there's a reason the hero is not picked a lot on the map, and usually Abathur gets value on bigger maps, but I'm really, really interested to see how much they can pull off with this one on Tomb now.
I am too. J-Hal, Abathur on Tomb. Does it have your vote?
As a huge Abathur fan, I got to go with no. I think this is the time where Jaina might excel a little bit more, especially with the Garrosh pick on the other side, dealing with the Stukov, trying to get the slow, but it's got to be a full team effort, and it's got to be, you got to find those moments for Team 12. They didn't find him last game. I think this might be a little bit easier to find those moments. I'm going Team 12.
I'll get him eventually to vote for Europe.
One
it's
day
going to
he'll go
happen
through.
one day.
I mean, I wanted Zul, so I'm a little let down. But Abathur on Tomb of the Spider Queen, you can't say no to that. I'm with Zealots.
Do I need to ask or?
No.
All right.
After the last game, 4-level lead and an Abathur on Tomb, nah, we're pretty safe on that one.
All right. For me, it's the double Garrosh. It looks like Zealots have a lot of fun with it. We've seen what happens when Zealots have fun. Frankly, I'm a little underwhelmed with Team 12's performance in the last game. I'm okay with them proving me wrong, but I'm going to go with Zealots too, even with an Abathur on Tomb, which is pretty unorthodox. Chat vote is in, and the votes continue to pour in, as you can vote. They continue to be in favor of Zealots, and after that strong performance in Game 1, I don't blame you at all. Let's see what Dreadnought and Vandy have to say about the draft for Game 2.
Thank you very much, Gilly. And we see ourselves on Tomb of the Spider Queen with an Abathur. Normally, the Slug, he's afraid of the spiders, but today, ADRD and friends have the confidence to bring it out. It's a wild pick. We'll get into it a little bit and talk about some of the maybe pros and cons that can exist with this. But we're going to start off with in the blue, down a game for North America is going to be Team 12. Blaze will be played by Goku. Cure on Genji. Justin playing Tyrael. We have Jaina played by Dansky, and Buds is on Rhaegar.
And on the red side, we have Zealots. Let's make some noise here. With Mopsio playing the Garrosh, ADRD on Abathur, Zamani playing Leoric, Shad on the Stukov, and Chris on Gul'dan.
So I'm just going to throw this out here. Just, first off, let's start with this. In ANZ, do we see much Abathur on Tomb of the Spider Queen? Is that a unique kind of strategy you guys got within the region?
Nope.
All right, so then, I mean, why do we not see Abathur on Tomb of the Spider Queen? Generally, it's because of his lack of lane presence. It's a map that very much demands a lot of lane presence. You don't get too much effectiveness out of the global the global soak feature unless it's very, very late into the game. And we know Tomb of the Spider Queen can be a map that generally can pressure a little bit too hard to make up for that. But I really like some of the decision making already made here by Zealots with the composition. They put a heavy amount of emphasis into wave clear. And if maybe they can snowball the map, get it pressured out against their opponents, that Abathur can really, again, kind of abuse that element. It just seems normally, when we see it, it's too weak in the earlier stages of the game to be able to deal with it. So I'm excited to see what Zealots can do to be able to hold that off.
Yeah, I really like the way you broke it down. You were saying the pros and the cons, but I also think as well, the way ADRD is going to build is really to accentuate and complement a lot of that frontline damage using the symbiote. So that's exactly kind of what I'm thinking. I was just saying, ADRD, it doesn't matter what map. If he sees that Abathur, that's his go-to pick.
And at level 1, he did end up committing to the mines. So if we have the assumption that, it's going to be that mine-oriented build and really kind of being problematic in the rotations, having a lot of wave clear there with the Gul'dan and Leoric. And if we see that snowball and opening of the map, in particular, both top and bottom lanes are heavy focus for that. The rotations of Team 12 will be very, very limited. And we saw in the last game, whenever Team 12 fell behind, obviously it was probably a bit more than we can expect in this game, but when they fell behind without a macro advantage, it very quickly, kind of got overwhelming. They completely consumed the map for Zealots. So if that happens once more, the Abathur is really going to enforce that, and I feel like crippled Team 12.
Yep, and Team 12 do not want to be in that position again. They were just on the back foot of that. They know what it felt like. And this is them, you can see, regrouping. The draft already feels so much stronger by them. Something a little bit, I guess, more expected. And something that I think we'll see them hopefully have some success with in these fights that break out.
Yeah, I think that if they're going to be successful, a lot of that pressure is going to be on the Jaina there. Dansky is the guy who really clutches it out for Team 12. I feel like he has been a rising star within the North American scene for so very long when he started back on Team Freedom, and he continues to do so here for Team 12.
I really love watching Dansky play. I mean, even yesterday when he was willing to take the Abathur, solely being the tank player normally that we saw, it was just something really fun to see. But okay, there's a lot of damage coming on out now. With Mopsio being forced to back off, Garrosh always deceptively low.
Good attempt there to get some kind of punishment from Team 12, but yet to find themselves a kill. Jaina slow, and the smite was not enough to change the relevant movement speed for them to be able to get those kills. But if we see a bit more of that kind of focus and rotation coming out from Team 12, where you see them clumping as a 5-man. Zarmany was comfortable still dealing with his own in the bottom lane. Abathur was able to deal with that up on top, and that's kind of that almost dependence on the death ball that I feel like Zealots is drafted into. They're depending on that composition to really clump it up, really group together. And the Abathur, I think, is going to be a problem. I can't emphasize enough that I feel like Team 12 needs to make sure that they get this first Web Weaver phase, or at least if Zealots get it, they get a kill and then is able to clear the Web Weavers without the map opening, both on bottom and on top.
And I mean, look at the positioning coming out as well. Ooh, Mopsio, nice throw there, followed up by the silence. That's some good comms coming out. Justing, he's still getting silence. He's so low. Luckily, though, team is on hand, and this is going to take it back.
It's going to come down from the bottom lane and actually get the jet propulsion lockdown. Mopsio flips him on the other side, but it's just going to allow him to get the body block. 2 kills here for Team 12, and they immediately nope up right up to this Web Weaver turn-in. Nice use of the Abathur hat, actually going to get the delay there onto that top wave, and then Zarmany comes back to life. Buds is slowed there by the skeletal swing, with no kill to be gained there. Very creative use of the Abathur hat there to be able to get that stall. That was well done by ADRD. It really stopped the momentum, that stopped the Web Weaver phase, which is, again, I've been bringing it up, that is problematic if Team 12 does not get momentum on these structures in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you summarize it so nicely. And ADRD, he's just showing us, I guess, the depth of knowledge that he has with that hero. It's such a creative application right there coming on out. Really impressive. And like you said, so importantly, by stalling that turn-in. Let's see now, another fight breaking on. You can see Team 12, they really want to get that turn and start getting the ball rolling for themselves.
Blaze is trying to make a transition upward, but he doesn't have enough gems to get a turn-in on bottom. Kira actually used his disengage and swift strike. Zarmany, not enough crowd control or damage to be able to get that. Goku, it seems like there's so much focus for both these teams on this top turn-in that it's going to be up to Goku, I think, in that bottom lane to make sure he gets enough gems and focus on turn-in. Chris gets out too far. He's going to be into the frayed, into a nice position for the team. Now Buds is going to get tossed back. No knock up there from Mopsio. And the turn-in is here now for Team 12 as that top Web Weaver turn-in is secured by Kira.
Here we go. Finally, Team 12 looking to get some momentum, looking to get some experience out of this. And that kill pressure will definitely be there, but I'm telling you, the kill pressure instead comes out on Genji.
So it's just got a kill at the absolute most crucial time, right as the map objective is going to be spawning. And Team 12 losing out the Genji and losing these 50 gems, or at least maybe not getting as much as they obviously would if they had the Genji. That is devastating. Number one, because, again, the problem that is going to be the Abathur. Number two, because North America compared to Europe is just weaker at getting value out of our gems. We absolutely get less structures, less experience than by far the European region. But I want to bring to light this pressure towards the bottom lane. This is a bit different than we generally see out of North America, and I feel like this is a far better decision-making from Team 12. If they can capitalize on pressing out this fort, taking out the mid-front wall, they can really abuse this death ball composition to die. But Shad, after they get out too far, has a lurking arm to turn things around. Genji goes in, he's going to get reset one. Dainsky gets a heal for Buds, keeps himself up. Mopsio has all the armor in the world, but it's not enough, and Team 12 get another pick.
I love the way Team 12 came in. They turned something that looked so dangerous and really turned it into 2 kills that they netted for themselves, grabbing that fort. And like you said, a lot of that was because of the pressure that they decided to put on that bottom lane. Yes, they lost Genji. The push should have been already a lot weaker to get to start with, but instead by focusing the resources down onto that solo laner, it then forced Zealots to be like, hang on, why aren't you guys backing off?
Normally, if a team's going to try and capitalize on the weakness of the bottom lane and be very aggressive with that, it's after breaking mid and then trying to abuse the flank between both mid and bottom there. So Team 12, without opening up that middle lane, it was a bit easier to respond for Zealots, but still, the lurking arm of the wall from Shad. He's really putting on a clinic here for the Stukovs. Many Stukovs have shown here through the Western Clash, but I can't help but feel like Shad's performance is a bit underrated there on that hero.
Oh, Shad, he's so amazing to watch. I was just saying as well earlier that Shad, we've seen him prioritize Stukov pretty much more than any other player here at the Western Clash, and it's so strong in his hands. The silence is so well timed every time I just see him. But what I also want to draw attention to is that we've got enough gems on the side of Zealots. 10 has also been acquired by both teams. Now Zealots, if they're able to get a kill, you can definitely see that they'd want to prioritize with that, but Boss as well now becomes a bit of a factor. Tyrael's
yet to pick his heroic. I wonder if there's an opportunity. Nice flip. Mopsio, the lurking arm is there, and it's not enough to keep him alive. That is a great kill here for Zealots. The team trying to get the response, but it was not quick enough. And that was, in fact, Sanctification locked in there for Tyrael. Maybe a tell he wish they had a bit earlier. Now Mopsio with the armor flips over Buds. The Abathur hat's going to heal him up. And look at that damage output. The response there is enough. Team 12 get a counter kill onto Mopsio.
Mobster falling now, it just creates a lot more space on the side of Team 12, and I really like it. Every time they seem down and out, you know, something didn't really go their way, they manage to then equalize it. And that's, I guess, something that can't always be said, right?
I mean, yeah, you're very much correct. It is not going to be. Sorry, I was trying to. I got distracted by the fact that we do have the water elemental was the choice here. This is a bit more of a North American flavor. There's been a lot of conversations here about Jaina's. Do we go with the Ring of Frost? Do we go with the Welly? And I'm just excited to see, you know, if it does make it to those later stages that are problematic. Zarmany not connecting there with that Entomb. That, you know, maybe get that Winter Mute. And, you know, Mike Udall, the argument he put up before as it can 1 versus 5. We'll see if it's going to be the case here for Team 12.
I'm scared. Zarmany's hanging around, and he's got barely any health, but a lot of gems to drop.
Mopsio is going to get the retreat, but he's already, after losing the Tyrael, it's too little, too late. Shad now trying to pull away. This choke is so very easy to be able to get the body blocks. Forces the Horrify from Chris. It's enough to be able to get out of the oil spill from Goku. Webweavers are going to be backing up the members of Team 12, and this is really where they're going to be able to open up the map. ADRD, he realizes that quickly, and he has to scoot his little slug booty over.
Still no turn-in from the side of Zealots. This is now the second turn-in that we're seeing on the side of Team 12, with 13 looming as well. They're in a very, very nice position.
The bottom Webweaver was not prepped in an area to where they can generally capitalize as much as maybe you normally would like to, and typically you can get them keep front wall up on bottom after taking out this mid fort and then cycle through for a top fort up on, or top fort afterwards. Mopsio made the transition to be able to deal with that, and so really mid Webweaver phase and top are going to be the only things that Team 12 can capitalize. Again, I would argue that comes down to the decision making over their first Webweaver phase and the advantages that they kind of had, but it was crippling because Zealots getting key kills whenever the objective seems to be picked up for Team 12.
And like you said, when they do get those kills, you've got that Abathur working behind the scenes to then make sure that any of that gap is slowly being patched up. But this is what I was expecting Team 12 to do and make that boss play. As I said, it became a factor. They still do not yet have 13 on the side of Zealots, so I feel like they're banking on them getting it before any bosses check. But look, Zealots sense something might be up.
But everybody has gone through the minion wave, so Team 12 knows that this is going to be contested. Horrify just came off cooldown, and Chris is now in a terrible position. Nice into the fray from Mopsio, as that was a Welly, Entomb, and the bunker all dropped at that point in time. Nobody's going to go down quite yet. ADRD ended up using the clone here, going to throw out a couple of corruption to rid of this boss. But Team 12, you know they're going to be looking minimum keep front wall here.
They are, and this boss is starting to get escorted in. So with that front fortification down, this is where stuff becomes scary. If any kills do fall, they could potentially make a core call.
Wow, getting out too far in the crowd control onto Zarmany. The boss has got the follow-up, and he's going to go into Ghost Form. Sanctification used, maybe not necessary, but just taking friends, playing it a bit safe here. 16 talent tiers nowhere to be found for a while, even if after the keep falls. And they need to be careful not to overextend here. Zarmany is going to be spawning in a little bit under 15 seconds. There's the slow. You can see Zealots want to try and force this fight. There's the knockup. Not going to be able to get in range for the flip. Zarmany chasing down, another skeletal swing. Vandy, do you think they're going to get this?
I don't know. I mean, they're chasing hard. They want to engage now.
Entomb. There's the bunker.
Comes out.
Silence is going to be dropped right underneath. Chris trying to get the damage out. He still has the opportunity. Drops the Horrify. Splits. Ancestral doesn't connect. And Blaze is going to fall. Zealots brilliantly using that Leoric to the ghost form into human form into the fray and Entomb. The synergy between Zealots on an individual level is outstanding.
They work so well as a team, as well as that lurking arm as well in the Entomb. It's like Leoric already had his Storm Talon. How good is that?
It's just ridiculous what they were able to have happen there. And now they're going to have the Webweaver face. We see them backing out, looking to pick up their own Knights. And this is, I mean, really the moment where Zealots kind of need to just keep forcing and throwing themselves at the members of Team 12, because losing that top keep and being so structurally disadvantaged, they really can't let up. They need to find a way, open up a couple of areas, get the 16 and look to force. Cure finds ADRD, and that is good night to the slug.
ADRD!
It was one of those moments where right as the pressure gets there, he thinks he's going to be safe. He looks elsewhere on the map, and then all Cure has to do is wait till the symbiote happens, because Cure can kill faster than the symbiote into any kind of retreat is possible. ADRD out means that much like the first Webweaver phase for Team 12 now getting the kill on the Zealots. The Zealots can't do that much with it, even worsened by the fact that 16 talent tiers there onto their side.
Well, you can see as well, Cure was postured down the bottom. As soon as ADRD showed himself, he kept hanging around to wait for that moment and opportunity. So it sets him back a little bit. He is going to respawn now. And with the Webweaver phase, I mean, they're not really getting, I guess, as much out of it as they would have liked.
It's not going to be an optimal situation for them, but it's not all hope is lost. There's still a lot of gems in the hands of Zealots, and normally when we see kind of those late game struggles and you see the Web Weaver phase go out, you're like, well, this is going to be the end. You have no win condition available, but not the case here for Zealots. They need the 16 talent here. We're only sitting at 10 more gems for Team 12, and it's very realistic that they will have that before Zealots can stall it out for the 16s. And so it's going to be, how well can we see Zealots move past the objective and then force, which last time we saw that they were very, very successful. So I'm hopeful for the defense.
Well, as you said, they're getting those kills when it matters most. That's Zealots right there. And I mean, I guess that also does kind of add that pressure onto them. I feel like Zealots are a team where when they are sort of backed into a corner, that's when they really do shine the most.
Not enough gems going to be here quite yet, but dropping all these gems off just reduce any opportunity to be able to lose them. It's just a safe turn in there.
It's just like storing your pennies
Put
for
it
a
in the
rainy
bank.
day. Yep.
Just throwing it in the bank. Welly is going to be used to get the chase down onto Zarmany. It's not too long of a cooldown, nor is it that detrimental. Now we see the slow on a Chris. Daneskin friends don't get the initiation they desire, but they still are going to be able to get a Web Weaver attempt before the 16. It's pretty close.
It's very, very close. And I mean, with that,
Blaze
Willie
has it
down.
on bottom.
Oh, Blaze, yes, he's going in, down for that turn in. There's enough, exactly. Mopsio, he figures out what's up, but it's not going to be quick enough to go for the interrupt. Now there is another Web Weaver phase going on, and I'm scared because of that top lane, that exposed key.
Yeah, I'm very much scared as well, and especially if we end up seeing Justin dropping here. He's very, very low. Massive Shove is going to push him away into Bud's Ancestral Healing. Zarmany uses the Skeletal Swing, eats a Jab Propulsion from Goku. ADRD Clone and the Leoric are going to go ahead and go into Ghost form. Web Weavers on top do have a Catapult behind them. All of Zealots make the transition to be able to deal with this. Interesting decision making coming out from Team 12, thinking that they're going to make the transition towards top as if this is their win condition. Oh, but if Chris overextends,
You can see they're trying to get through that lurking arm silence. Shad, he is slow, trying to get away and disengage. And you can see Team 12, they're not willing to take that fight under the core.
this
Not
Web
yet.
Weaver, we have 7 more seconds until they're going to have the Leoric. The shielding on the core is already going to be dropped. Sanctification is available, so they need to find a way to be able to stop this. There's Team 12 clumping up, grouping up together. Sanctification 70% and counting. There goes the bunker. Nobody going to drop yet. And it looks like Team 12 have found a way to earn themselves a victory on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Very well played by those guys right there. And I mean, I love the decision making that went out. They didn't overcommit for the kills. They waited for that Web Weaver to push on in and make it a lot safer to then pick a fight.
That was a really great decision making from Team 12 to make that rotation to top, because without the sanctification or the timing of it, that core call is very, very risky. And immediately I was like,